Hello, Dr. Raghavendra. Welcome to PhD Catalyst. It
Hello,
is my
sir.
pleasure to have you in this interview for PhD journey, where we will discuss how your PhD journey was and how your current supervision journey going on. So, may I request you, sir, first, could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. First of all, I'm really grateful to you, sir, for inviting me for this session. And I'm really honored. It's my pleasure and privilege to be a part of this wonderful exercise that you're doing for all our prospective PhD students. I sincerely hope that you go a long way in this, and everybody, whether it's you, me, or all our students, should gain a lot from this. Now, I'll If talking about myself, my name is Dr. Raghavendra Bendigeri. I am a faculty at Oriental Institute of Management. It's in Navi Mumbai, Vashi, and I've been working here since 2009. That is for the last 14 years, and I have done my MBA in finance. My core field is finance, and I registered for PhD in 2012 and completed in 2019. So it took me 7 years.
Sure.
And I have been working at Oriental since a PhD guide affiliated to University of Mumbai since 2021. And my areas are, if I may say, my subjects are statistics, research, and finance. In finance, I teach 4 to 5 subjects.
Okay. Okay. So, my question to you is, what inspired you to do PhD?
So I would say that it started way back in 2005, sir. If I can actually go that far, it started with this passion for teaching. In fact, it was a moment of truth. I was not sure what to do, and I was absolutely uncertain about my career, just as all the youngsters are. I was just around 25, 26 then. I was working in Convergence, and I was asked to train a batch. Yeah, it just happened immediately. It was not planned. It's just that the trainer was not available for 1 week, and I had to fill in that gap as a trainer, as a
Okay.
makeshift trainer.
Okay.
So I said yes, and that proved to be a turning point in my career, and I thoroughly enjoyed that 1 week of training session as a trainer, and that's where probably I realized that this is what I would want to do throughout my life, as a profession, as a career, as a passion. That is either teaching or training. So once I made up my mind, and then I pursued my MBA. In 2009, I was absolutely sure that whatever is it, whatever it is, I want to be in the field of teaching or academics. And then I joined Oriental Institute of Management, and and maybe some other time I'll explain that part of my journey as well. But once I joined Oriental Institute of Management as a faculty, PhD became a both a necessity as well as my goals.
Right.
Because in academics, if you want to go ahead or grow, PhD is a mandatory qualification. Even for the eligibility of, let's say, next level, that is associate professor, you need a PhD. So
Correct.
that was one of my motivation. And secondly, I also wanted to get into research in depth. I mean, research is also is my passion. I really want to explore a lot of things and what happens. I'm kind of curious by nature, so I tend to question a lot as to why things happen or why things are the way they are. And this probably led me to pursue my PhD for both for professional as well as my personal career ambition. That's how I would say
Great, great, great.
both.
And actually, you have pointed out correctly, curiosity is one of the key attribute that a PhD student should have. Okay, so both your professional goal as well as your personal goals motivated you to do with start PhD. I wanted to understand what steps you initially took to take admission into PhD.
Yes. So, I did my PhD from University of Mumbai, and by and large, the initial criteria is the same for most of the university. That is, you have to appear for an entrance test, which is called as PhD entrance test. It's called as PET. So we here in University of Mumbai call it as University of Mumbai PET, PhD entrance test. The step You have to appear for that entrance test and you have to pass that examination. That is, you need to score around 50 out of 100. That is the minimum passing mark. Alternatively, let's say if you don't, there are people who are exempted from appearing for PET. Let's say you're net qualified, national eligibility test qualified, net or set, state eligibility test. These are two examinations, eligibility entrance examinations for teachers. If you have qualified these two tests, then you don't have to appear for PhD entrance test. Otherwise, you need to first step is to appear for PhD entrance test. Once you clear this particular milestone, let's say you clear your PhD entrance test, then you need to apply into different colleges who are PhD research centers. There are roughly, if I remember, if my memory serves me right, maybe around 10 to 15 PhD research centers for management in Mumbai University. So you need to apply to each one of them. You need to either personally go or you have to send your credentials, resume, etc. Then they'll ask you to send a research proposal. What they want to know is, are you clear about your research goals? While you want to do, why you want to do PhD? Do you have a research topic in mind? You have to send your research proposal to them. Then they'll call you for an interview, sir. Interview come presentation, you may say. You have to actually present your research proposal in front of a panel, wherein it will be a panel of maybe around 5 to 6 people, or maybe even 7 to 8, depends on the institute. You have to be very clear about what is the research that you're going to do, where you're going to do it, what are your objectives and your methodology, and also expected findings from the research. What is it that you aim to accomplish from this research? What could be your finding? What is it you want to find out? And how your research is going to contribute to your society. So broadly, once you appear for PET entrances, you have to apply for you have to send your research proposal to different institutes. Then they'll call you for the interview.
So I think for many students who are new to research, like I was when I moved from industry to academic life, I found writing research proposal itself is a skill. What steps, if you remember, you took to finalize your research topic during admission process?
Yes, sir. Sir, I'll be honest with you. There's no shortcut. It's a process of self-discovery. Every individual goes through this journey, and for
Yes.
every individual, this journey is unique. It starts with topic finalization. First thing is the student, and this happened with me as well. We are absolutely uncertain as to what topic should we choose for doing our research. Now, if I talk in practical terms, our topic should be as specific as possible. Generally, sir, we start with a generic topic, a broad topic. Let's say
Correct.
consumer behavior and
Yeah.
branding. This is a broad topic. We need to be specific. Consumer behavior related to what product, what service, in which city. You have to actually zero down it to the geographical area, and only then you can go ahead. Yeah, the research topic has to be as specific as possible. That's the first step, I would say. And how to finalize this? So it is a process, as I say, it's a self-discovery. You have to actually search on the internet, maybe read books, maybe read other research proposals, maybe read different research papers, 20 to 30 research papers, get in touch with PhD guides, mentors, friends, and then finally come up with research gaps. And then you will arrive at your topics. That takes time. It takes 2 to 3 months if you do it seriously.
Perfect. I think that will help our prospective students to prepare for their research proposal uh, during their admission process. I think one of the key aspects of a PhD is to select your guide or supervisor, right? And as you mentioned, there are multiple research centers within university, and you have to reach out to different people to find your supervisor. So is there anything, any guideline that you followed to select your supervisor, or was it allocated by default by university?
So in my case, it was allocated by the institute. What happens is every research center has some guides. Let's say a center might have one guide, or some might have two guides, three guides. there is no limit, upper limit, as far as number of PhD guides you can have at a center, at a college. Uh,
Right.
and every guide has a certain sanctioned intake of certain specific students. If you're an
Right.
assistant professor, you can take 4 students, 6 for associate and 8 for professor. In my case, what happened, sir, I applied for this PhD in Lala Lajpat Rai Institute. One of the institutes I applied for in Alana as well and Velinkar as well. Somehow I couldn't get through in those 2 institutes, but in Alana, I presented my research proposal, and maybe after a week or 10 days, I got a call, and the institute itself allocated the guide. Guide allocation is done at an institute level, sir. The only thing is the guide has to be university approved guide. The guide
Okay.
should be approved by University of Mumbai, but the allocation is done by the institute itself on merit.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Depending
Great. Great.
on depending on vacancy under that guide, availability and vacancy of that guide.
Absolutely. Yes. That is as per the UGC guidelines, I think. Right. So after you found your supervisor and you cleared the entrance test and you presented your initial idea of research to panelists during your admission, but the final research topic that you continued as part of your PhD must have evolved uh, before you really started doing research. So, can you tell us a little bit more about that journey of finalizing the research topic from admission to you say RRC committee?
RRC committee, yes. Sir, actually, absolutely. You said it absolutely right. I mean, you're bang on target. The initial topic at the time of admission and the topic that we submitted to university for RRC, there's a world of difference. I mean,
Yeah,
everything. It was a, you may, if I may say, 180-degree shift, I would say. When it's not just about me, sir. Any new PhD student, when he takes admission, he is not absolutely clear about the research process or even how to finalize a topic. He knows what to do. He knows broadly that, let's say, I want to do research in the area of maybe digital marketing or maybe, let's say, uh, financial markets. He knows broadly. But in financial market or in digital marketing, any specific area, that becomes a challenge. And this is where the role of guide is very important. I was really fortunate that my guide sat with me, and it takes multiple sittings, sir. It doesn't happen in one sitting. And this is what I do with my students as well. You have to sit with your guide or with your student 4 or 5 times, and it's a brainstorming session.
uh, that clarifies how the research topic basically evolves over the period from admission to before you submit it to research recognition committee, which finally approves your topic. Right, right. So I would like to now understand, sir, after your topic was approved by the committee, what steps you took to move ahead with your research? Like, did you do some kind of detailed literature review? And how you came up with the research methodology as well?
Yes, sir. So for me, personally, you said it right. What the most difficult part that I experienced as a PhD student was review of literature. The reason is you need to identify research gaps. Only then you can move ahead. After you identify research gaps, you need to frame your research objectives, then your hypothesis, then your research methodology. The most difficult part for me was identification of these research gaps. And in order to identify research gaps, we need to do extensive review of literature. And it happens with everyone that as a fresher or as a new researcher, we don't know how to do literature review. How
Exactly.
should we start with review of literature?
Yes.
Where should we try to find quality review of literature data? And how should we frame it in our own words? Review of literature is you actually review the research work of other
Absolutely.
professionals, and then you need to articulate it in your own words. What did you understand from that, from the research that others have done, and then subsequently arrive at research gap? This took a lot of time. I would say this took my bulk of my major time, if I may say. It took me around 2 years to finish my literature review. So review of literature again, it's not just about review of literature. It's also about you have to get in touch with your guide, and it should be a synchronization. Your guide should also agree to what the review of literature that you have done. He may suggest some changes, and it's a journey wherein, sir, it's a roller coaster, right? I may say.
Yeah.
And in some ways, on some days you're on a high. You actually know that this is what you have to do. The path is absolutely clear. And on some other days, it's absolutely hazy. You're absolutely unsure of what you're doing, or where you're going. At times, you question your own review of literature. Have I done it right? So this is the most important part. And then subsequently, once you identify the research gap, then comes your research methodology. This is where the topic, I would say the topic, the way you have framed your topic plays an important role. That's the reason why we say that the topic has to be very specific. The
Yes.
most important thing is how are you going to collect data? Data collection should be feasible and as simple as possible. That's more
Right.
important
Yeah.
ultimately. So, and everything revolves around data collection. Your analysis also revolves around data collection. You have to collect data quickly and easily, sir. So,
Absolutely.
in practical aspects, practically research methodology is mainly about how quickly you can collect data. What are the tools that you're going to analyze? That's what defines your research methodology.
So
Practical terms.
it will be helpful, sir, to kindly give high level idea about your research topics.
So, okay. So, let me talk about my research topic. I am from finance, but incidentally, my research PhD is in the area of marketing.
Okay.
It just happened, but it will work. Let me explain this. My topic is user behavior with respect to mobile technology in India.
Okay.
This was my topic of research. And way back in 2012, when I started, mobile technology was evolving at a rapid pace.
Yes.
I mean, you had 2G coming up, 3G coming up, and then you had Android phones.
Yes.
In fact, new software, even WhatsApp, had just started in 2012. So,
Yes.
see, it was a topic of fascination. I really was attracted to mobile technology and how people adopt to mobile technology. Let's say if I want to purchase a mobile phone, or if I want to watch movie, or any use any app in mobile phones, what are the aspects, behavioral aspects that come into play? That fascinated me. So again, it happened with a lot of brainstorming and after a lot of deliberations
Right.
and self introspection. So my topic was user behavior with respect to mobile technology. Review of literature. When it came to India, it was very difficult for me to come up with some review of literature. I couldn't find much literature review in Indian context. There was
Okay.
a lot of literature review available abroad, especially in US and Europe, because they were developed countries and there were some a bit ahead of us. Even
Correct.
China was also ahead of us. So I could find literature review related to these countries, and gradually I arrived at gaps, research gap, that such studies have not been done in India or in Navi Mumbai, at least. That was one research gap identified. Then there were four dimensions: perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, customer fulfillment and satisfaction, and pricing. So
Yes.
primarily, how we adopt to mobile phones or mobile technology depends on these four factors. Do I perceive it useful? Am I satisfied with it? And how is the pricing? Especially in Indian context, we are very price sensitive. So I could identify these four variables through my review of literature, and then I had to build on my research methodology. My sample size was 500, and my geographical area, it was Navi Mumbai as well as whole of India in this case. I had to pick 500 respondents, and then the sampling technique. How will you actually select the sampling? I selected judgment sampling. I use that
So,
technique to
sir,
select sampling.
before we move to data collection and sampling, I want to spend a little more on research methodology itself. So
Mhm.
what I understand from my experience is that there are multiple way to select research methodology. For example, we have qualitative methodology, we have quantitative methodology. Nowadays, many people adopt a mixed method where they start with one methodology and confirm their research results through other
Yes.
methodology.
Mhm. Sir, yes. qualitative at that point of time, sir, I was new into research. I did not have much idea about qualitative research, and that's the reason I opted for quantitative research. And plus, also looking at my background, have done my engineering in electrical engineering. That I helped me. It helped me understand quantitative research better. So I opted for quantitative research, and moreover, this is my personal opinion that quantitative research helps you because you can express your data in measurable terms. Actually, wherein data can be measured, can be actually tested. So that was one aspect. That's the reason I opted for quantitative research, wherein I collect data in terms of quantitative. But more importantly, the dimensions which I mentioned, the variables, are all qualitative in nature, sir. That is perceived usefulness, pricing sensitivity, they're all qualitative in nature.
Right.
So I had to actually, I employed Likert scale, 5-point Likert scale, wherein we circulate this questionnaire to our respondents and they'll answer on a scale of 1 to 5, or
Right.
let's say from poor to excellent. You have rating scales, and these ratings have to be converted into numerical scales for data analysis to be carried out. For me, it was quantitative primarily because one is I understood quantitative research better and it helped me analyze the findings.
Understood.
But
Understood.
now you're right, sir. Nowadays, what I see is that people are employing mixed methodology. Somewhere qualitative research is also because it explores the hidden areas
Right.
of
Yeah.
our mindset and psychology. That's why it helps.
Okay, sir. Yeah. And I think many PhD students or aspirants who are not yet into PhD program, they have a lot of questions about data collections or sampling methodology because they hear these terms from during their masters or from their seniors. So, with respect to data collection and sampling, I think there are multitude of options available. So, what approach you selected for your thesis?
Yes. So primarily, if you look at primary data collection, that is the data that we have to collect in the
Right.
form of survey or questionnaire. In my case, because the topic was user behavior, who would be the target audience? Users of mobile phones.
Right.
Anybody who is using a mobile phone will is my target audience. He
Correct.
could be my potential respondent.
Right.
If you look at the numbers, I mean, at that time, India had around huge numbers. I mean, mobile subscribers. It is into 100 crores. For me, most important part, and in general, I would say, how would you select the right sampling technique? There are two. Primarily, there are two broadly. One is probabilistic, one is non-probabilistic sampling technique.
Right.
You may select probabilistic sampling technique only if you have a complete database of your respondents. That is, if I know all 100 crore subscribers, if I have the details of everyone, each and every subscriber, okay, 100 crores, only then I can go for probabilistic sampling, which is simple random and systematic sampling. But it's
Yes.
not possible, sir, because
Correct.
more in a lot of research, we don't have the database. So I had to go for non-probabilistic sampling, which is under non-probabilistic sampling also you have multiple sampling. You have judgment, you have quota, you have convenience sampling, and you have snowball sampling.
Correct.
I opted for judgment sampling because I have given my reference also in my thesis. That is, for certain empirical studies, you have to go for judgment. Where what happens in a judgment sampling is you use your judgment to understand whether this person can actually help me or do justice to my research in the form of data. And when he fills up the question, so I opted for judgment sampling.
Okay. Okay. Okay, sir. And post that you kind of circulated the survey to collect data. So I assume that once your data was available in the raw format, you have analyzed through different statistical softwares. So I would like to know which statistical software you utilized for data analysis.
So there are a lot of softwares nowadays. I mean, you have R, even people do analysis on Python. And for us, sir, it was SPSS, Statistical Package for Social Sciences.
Right.
it belongs to IBM. So I did my data analysis on SPSS. I did my statistical analysis using multinomial and ordinal regression. I employed these two techniques to do data analysis,
Okay.
wherein you need to figure out the probability. Let's say that based on your profile, you fill up the data as a respondent. Based on your profile and based on the responses that you are given, what is the probability? What is the probability that you will be willing to use? Okay, you will be willing to use mobile technology. We figured this out. I came up with this probability that, let's say, somebody whose age group is 25 years, and whose income level is, let's say, 5 lakhs, who is a male, and who is living in Mumbai, and he has filled the questionnaire depending on 1 to scale, 1 to 5 rating scale, perceived usefulness, price sensitivity, etc. What is the probability that he'll be using this kind of mobile phone, a
Right.
3G mobile phone or a 2G mobile phone? So I employed multinomial and ordinal regression. But sir, currently I would say, if you look at the current scenario, a lot of students are using SCM, structured equation modeling.
Right. Yes.
It's a kind of multi regression technique,
Yeah,
multivariate
it does
regression,
both. Yeah, factor analysis as well as regression, multiple regression. Right,
confirmatory
sir.
factor analysis. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great, sir. Now, I think one aspects of PhD research is research publications. So I want to understand from you, how was your experience and what challenges you faced in terms of research publications and how you overcame on it.
So research publication, I would say, sir, initially, if I talk about myself, initially it was very difficult for me to publish my papers because any novice, any person who is doing PhD as a novice, his research paper quality will not be of the level kind of the level of which the research publications would expect. That's how you learn, sir. It's a part of learning curve. You start with simple research papers and you try to get them published in small journals initially. Once the count starts, let's say you're on ground zero. Once you start publishing, let's say you have one publication, you have two publications, you have three, then gradually you should strive for improvement in quality. And in your initial research papers will be basic in nature, absolutely basic. They may have some charts, some graphs, some basic statistical analysis. But
Right.
as you go ahead, you should aim for advanced statistical analysis, as you said, factor analysis or CFA, SEM, and multi-level modeling, etc.
Right. Okay.
Initially, it
Okay.
becomes difficult, sir, but as quality improves, and it's very important, I would say to budding researchers that please participate in as many research conferences as possible, wherever it is. Doesn't matter. It could be within your city, in your college, in other colleges. That gives you confidence of presenting the paper. That gives you confidence of preparing the research paper, and then you start with advanced level research papers.
Absolutely, I agree with that, sir. When I was doing my PhD, conferences really helped me to prepare groundwork for my research publications. So, totally agree with that. Now, coming to the softer aspects of doing PhD, sir.
Mhm.
I am assuming you were teaching as well as doing your research. So, did
Yes.
you face any time crunch or any other challenges in terms of commute from your work and workplace to research center, or any other family related constraints that you faced during PhD journey, because it is long 5 7 years journey.
Absolutely, absolutely. Then I faced a lot of challenges. In fact, every student will go through this invariably. It's a part of your journey, sir. I mean,
Right.
it's part and parcel of PhD.
Yeah.
PhD doesn't come easy.
Yes.
You need to pay a price. You need to earn it. That's how I'll say it. And my PhD went on for 7 years. There were a lot of reasons. Some were professional, some were personal reasons. Time is definitely a factor. What happens is, after a hard day's work, once you go home, You plan a lot of things. You plan that, okay, today I'm going to sit and finish this chapter or finish parts a portion of this chapter, but it doesn't work like that. Something or the other comes up. At times you are too tired even to open the laptop or even to do some kind of research. Most important thing is your frame of mind. You
Yes,
have to be in the right frame of mind to do research related to your PhD. And motivation, sir, it's very important that you keep yourself. It's very hard to motivate yourself for this long journey. It's very difficult for us to keep our concentration, keep our focus at the time of doing our PhD. And you at times you feel like giving up. You just feel like you don't want to go ahead. This is the end of it. You are absolutely unsure of where you are going. At times you even wonder whether you're taken the right decision to do PhD or not. You start questioning yourself, but then these are all part and parcel which you have to endure. You have to sustain. Once you sustain through these phases, definitely then, and you have to keep motivating yourself. Ultimately,
agree.
it's your journey. Your
Yeah,
parents, your support, your family support system, it's there. But ultimately, it's your journey that you have to undertake. You have to walk the path. And traveling also for me, yes, it was difficult because I'm in Navi Mumbai in Kochi, whereas my institute Lala Lajpat Rai is in Bombay Central, Mahalakshmi. So it used to take me 1.5 hours one way. So 3 hours of traveling time plus my guide has to be available. He was very kind enough to spare time for me, and he was always available more often than whenever I requested his time. He was always there. So this all these things matter. Little things add up, sir.
correct, correct.
It is a long journey, definitely.
So many times we consider PhD as a solo journey. So, sir, did you get any help from your peer network during the course of journey?
Yes, yes. I would say there were a lot of people to help me with my research, and all my fellow colleagues. My parents were the biggest pillar of strength, even though they couldn't do much in with respect to my PhD. They were there for my emotional support. They always gave me the emotional support. My
Correct.
peers, yes, I had 4 or 5 colleagues, and whenever I had lost, let's say, my way, or I was not sure of what I was doing, or probably I was absolutely uncertain. I used to discuss with them. They used to brainstorm with me at times, maybe even for half an hour, 1 hour, or even 2 hours. That session used to stretch for 2 hours. They were very, very cordial, very kind to help in all the possible ways that they could, in whatever possible way they could. They were always there to help me, to guide me, to come up with these research gaps and maybe how I should frame my review of literature, what should be my research methodology. I received a lot of inputs from my director as well, my director, my colleagues, even some students as well. Sir.
Great,
There
sir.
was
Yeah,
because
I
I used to teach part-time batch as well, MFM
right.
and MMM part-time. There were a lot of senior executives with 10 years experience. They too guided me a lot.
Great, great. So I mean, it is helpful or it is insightful for all the prospective PhD students not to think PhD as a solo journey. I mean, it is, but they can take help from their peer network, friends, colleagues, seniors, as well as juniors. So I think that helps in moving ahead in a direction where you want to reach. Absolutely, great point, sir. Now, in terms of supervision, after you completed your PhD, you started supervising fresh PhD students. So, how is your experience, sir, now?
So far, it's been really been enriching, sir. And you always keep learning, sir. That is the beauty of research and PhD. As a student, I was on this side of the table. I looked
Right,
at a journey through a specific prism, you may say. But when you move to the other side of prism, let's say the other side of table, it's a completely different ball game. Your perception changes, and because you have yourself been through that journey, it helps you understand the position of your students as well.
correct,
Now, as a teacher, there are things which we learnt on our own as a student, and you don't want your students to go through those hardships. So it is very important that you guide your students and make them and familiarize your students with the mistakes that you committed so that they
correct.
don't commit those mistakes, and the journey becomes smoother for them. So as uh, I'm working here as a supervisor for the last 2 years now, 2.5, you may say, since 2021. And I have around 4 students under me, sir. And each one is a different student. They're all committed. And
Okay.
what I found challenging was to somewhere familiarize them with the research process. They were all very keen to learn. They were eager to learn. But most important thing was actually how to tell them what to do in research. What is research? That was the most important part aspect, I would say. And I had to conduct the coursework also for them.
Correct, sir. Correct. So I think we have now reached to end of our discussion. As a last question, I will request you to kind of give some advice that PhD aspirants can take home.
Advice to them would be, my first advice would to them would be that never give up. Okay, there will be ups and downs, but stay put. Okay, uh, don't get demoralized, don't get demotivated. It's a journey that will be full of ups and downs, and that's the only way you're going to cover that journey. You cannot change it. Just ensure that you have your support system in place, and more importantly, you should stay motivated as far as the journey is concerned. As far as the topic is concerned, I would advise them that choose your topic in such a way that the data collection part becomes very easy. What happens is the student choose a topic, later on they realize that it's very difficult for them to collect data.
Okay.
That is the most important part, because
Right.
data collection is something that is dependent on others. Rest of the things, it's all up to you. They're under your control. Literature review is under your control. Data analysis is under your control. You can do it at your own pace. Data collection is something that is not in your control. You have to get it from others. So how easily and how quickly you can collect data, that should be the central point. Of course, data should be authentic, valid, and add value to your research. That
Yes.
goes without saying. But
Right.
otherwise, keeping this as a focal point, you need to come up with a research topic. Because I've seen people come up with marketing strategy as a research topic, but how will you collect data? Nobody is going to give you their strategy. It's
Yes.
all about competition.
Right.
So that's how it works.
I think that's a great advice, sir. With that, I will thank you from entire PhD Catalyst team, and I hope to see you again for some similar insightful discussions. Thank you, sir.
My, my pleasure, sir, and I'm really honored. I'm really thankful to you and all PhD, the entire PhD Catalyst team for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my insight. I hope it benefits everyone.
Sure, sir. It will. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.